Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine avatara varishtaya ramakrishnaya te namaha jananim sharadam devim ramakrishnam jagadguru padapadme tayo sritva pranamami muhormuhu namasri yatirajaya vivekananda surya satchit sukhasvarupaya swamine tapaharine वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. We are in the second chapter in the Sankhya Yoga. So this is a very important chapter. It actually starts in there is some view that the actual Gita starts from here only. Like it's also there's a view. So what exactly in this and why it is called Sankhya Yoga? Every chapter is called one yoga in Gita. The first chapter is called Vishad Yoga. So here they say Samyak Jnanam is Sankhya. So in a very detailed way, the accumulated experiences of sages about nature and destiny of man is called Sankhya. And that presented, in a very beautiful way based on realization, Samakyanam Sankhya. So the nature of samsara is typically exemplified by Arjuna's that is conduct and behavior in the first chapter. It's a miserable world he finds himself in. He also finds himself forced to struggle against various forces of nature. Swamiji also sometimes calls what is life. It is struggle against the forces of nature. If you also see constantly, our battle is also virtually against various forces of nature, in the form of wind, in the form of rain, in the form of sun, in the form of other things. Naturally, largely our struggle is against nature only. So, given whatever we have, whatever means available to us, हमेशा हम लोग लड़ते रहते हैं. So unless we are able to really overcome the environment, social and physical, वो हमेशा आपको दबाने के लिए कोशिश करती है. That is always tries to put you down. So that struggle, unless we win that struggle, you can never be successful, never be peaceful, never be happy in life. So, one thing is, that is mentally and physically, one should be able to overcome the forces of nature which are trying to pull you down. And that is how you really ultimately get the destined goal of life. So, life is naturally, otherwise, it is always in the danger of being extinguished by opposing forces, or at least life is made miserable. That is why it is called in the first chapter as Arjuna's Vishada, the reason for his sadness, and that's why it's called that Vishada Yoga, and that is how the first chapter is dealt with. So, the consciousness of the nature of life itself is the first step. What is our nature? How are we? Where are we struggling? Where is our difficulty? Whether because if you are totally unaware even of this, then your life doesn't begin at all. So पहले समझना क्या दिक्कत है, कहाँ दिक्कत हो रहा है, where are we caught, where are we struggling. These are some of the things we should really able to understand first. That is the first step. So that is one part of this. So so subsequently, once you know this, then you try to understand, then you try to discriminate, then you try to do vichara, then you try to exercise your faculties of the mind. Then that is where the real growth comes, and ultimately the solution also might come from only from such awareness or such nature of our existence, etc. So, in this chapter, virtually, the and how the next step comes is, through the constant self-examination, examining oneself, finding oneself. So, and often in this query, if you're not able to do it by yourself, you get a great help in the form of a great teacher like Sri Krishna, who points up to you what's your real nature, what you should do, why are you wrongly deluded, why are you pursuing a wrong path, etc. And you get a constant guidance. So that's for the second step is to really know from know about ourselves from the point of view of science and philosophy. So there is a rational idea behind it, and philosophically we are able to justify who we are, what we are, etc. So the first step is against nature, understanding the nature, how we are really constricted, how we are facing difficulties. And then the second step is to be aware of our real nature scientifically and philosophically, combining these. That is why it is called the Sankhya Yoga, where finally, this reveals your real nature. And not only that, toward the end, Sri Krishna also gives a prescription as to how we can really live that life. One is to know who we are, that we are the Atman, we are that supreme self. But mere knowing is not going to really help unless you live that life. Because so much we hear constantly, so much anyone who can read a little can really see so many of these things in the scriptures, etc. But does it really take us to that level? For that, one has to really struggle, one has to do sadhana, so one has to do. So, what are the practical ways of doing it, or where exactly it's all possible? So, you get clear hints in this chapter. So, that is why it's a very, very important chapter. So, in this, probably the the there are virtually three main ideas in this chapter. In the first, Sri Krishna tries to rouse Arjuna by appealing to his heritage, where from he has come and all that. Now know that he is a hero among heroes, he is a member of the cultured society, and then he is a descendant of the rishis, etc. So he is trying to don't be untrue your nature, where from this unmanliness has come upon you. You get up. You are the scorcher of foes. You are parantapa and so that Clipium asmakam partha naitatva ivapatyate chudram hridaya dorbalyam. Give up this faint-heartedness. This is unworthy of you. It is not worthy of your this thing. So you don't. जरूरत नहीं है लाइट नहीं तो कुछ नहीं होगा इसकी कैसे जलेगा no without current oh. Yeah. So, that is the idea. If that is so, then, we can. So, he's trying to really get him, wake up. But then, Arjuna's problem is so deep rooted. So, he's completely, is unable to overcome. So, the first thing, practically, it goes over. It doesn't really penetrate deep enough to arouse Arjuna and make him act. Because he's trying to tell him, then he goes a little more detail and tries to kind of clear his understanding, clear his intellect, so that he is that he has been clouded by emotions, that way he himself sees in reality and discharge the duties that is enjoined upon him as a member of the society, as a community, and also it's a duty to which he owes to God himself. So, in the second step, he's trying to really clear his intellect so that, he gets a proper understanding, and he tries to, realize his duty, etc., and he would do justice. That's why, he was, a wrong, uncontrolled emotion, or it a sudden manifestation of emotion, because it was not there earlier. Suddenly, when he saw all of them, these emotions were kindled in his heart. Oh, उन वैसे उन्होंने व्यवहार करने प्रारंभ किया था. So, the attachment to relatives and a wrong valuation himself, that, if I do this also, what is the use? I need not win all this. Such a Raja will be stained with blood. Rather I'll Bhikshacharyam Charanti, I will take to Bhiksha. That is much better. What is all that? So he had gone to the other extreme. He was, the exhaustion, the making him unfit to live like a man of fulfillment, of legitimate destiny. Merely, it is not enough just to tackling the disease. Like homeopathy, you must go to the root cause and give him medicines. Like allopathy, superficial treatment is not working for Arjuna. Whatever Sri Krishna says, that is going over. Only temporary symptoms. आप कुछ पैरास्टिमल लिया तो बुखार कम हो गया, फिर शाम को आ गया. So again, it's not really making any dent. So, he has to give him some deep-rooted solution so that जड़ से जाके उसका ठीक करेगा. He'll go to the root and clear all the misunderstandings, etc. So, as a radical cure can be effected only if the intellect is completely correct. First of all, the understanding. Most of our problems today, most of our misunderstanding, most of our sorrows, sufferings, disputes, fights, everything, largely they arise out of wrong understanding. It's not. If an understanding is clear, much of the problems, कई बार हम लोग सोचते हैं ना, वो ऐसे किया, वो ऐसे किया, इसके साथ ऐसा हो गया. It's all because of our understanding and our looking at things in a particular way. The other person is looking at differently. You are looking at it in one way. That leads to complete misunderstanding. So if the intellect is clear, if you understand, and in a very broader sense, if you understand also, all these are all completely transitory, temporary, not worth giving attention to. How much of our time in life goes to completely non-essential things. If you really look at our own life, 90% of our time probably they go to non-essential things, either attend to the body, either attend to mind, either into other things, some emotions, trying to quell them, trying to address them. So all these can be largely addressed if our intellect is clear. It is cleared of all cobwebs, and there's a perfect understanding of our nature, of our duty, where from we come, where we are to go, what is man's destiny. All this need to be understood comprehensively. So that is why he says, see, jatasya hi dhruva mrityu dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmat apariharyate natvam shochitam rasi. See, a man who is born is going to die. One who dies is going to take birth again. Why are you worried about killing somebody, not killing somebody? It's going to happen. They are going to die in some way or other. Bhishma and Drona are not going to live for eternity. Even if you don't kill them, or age will overtake them. Sometimes they are going to die. But at least, in a battle, if they fight, they are also fighting for a cause. You are also fighting for a cause. They are also thinking they are owed their debt of gratitude to somebody. From that standpoint, they are trying to fight. You are trying to fight from the standpoint that the society you owe to the duty which you owe to the society, which you owe to the people of the country, you owe to your own brothers. So there is a greater justification. So if you do, that's okay. And also, what is the guarantee that you are going to win? That's why he says, if you win, you get the Rajya. If you lose, aapko to Swarga Prapti. So because you are going to die like a Veer Purusha fighting for a great cause. So in various ways he's trying to intellect, he is trying to clear so that his emotions will be under control. If your emotions are not under control, our intellect goes berserk and it does whatever we like. Quite often how we react very strongly. We use very strong words, very powerful words, very abusive words. Many things happen because emotion has completely clouded the intellect and we are simply functioning from the point of view of emotion. If emotion is tempered by intellect, by understanding, then it will be under control. And even if anything is there, see, what is the difference? You see, when you interact with people, quite often you may feel extremely irritated inside because what the other person says may be absolutely illogical, unrealistic, and unjust, unfair, and all that. But then if you can temper it with your understanding, ठीक है, ठीक हो जाएगा. Maybe he will also get clarity at a later point of view. Maybe I can make him understand by telling him in a nice way. Instead of that, if you straightaway react, what happens? That leads to more misunderstanding, more trouble. And then because you react wrongly, you have already committed a blunder. So whatever might be the wrongdoing on the other side, from your side also you have contributed significantly, so that it is not going to get solved. It's only going to become a bigger problem. So it's very important to guide our emotions through a proper understanding intellectually, so that we know we are our emotions are under our control. See, here is a very typical case where he is completely overwhelmed by emotions. They are my relatives, they are my dear and near one. I cannot allow them, I cannot participate in a war and kill them and so on. So now Sri Krishna is trying to clear. And then, that's why in the second part of the chapter, initially it starts with trying to rouse him and all that. In the second part of the chapter, he's trying to, tell him about the nature of man as a spirit enclosed in a mind and a body, etc. And then they are all impermanent, they are not going to be there permanently. So, all that, first of all, elaborately, he gives him the reasons why all these are very impermanent from various the points of view of nature, and then makes him understand that you do your duty, you don't worry about it. So the second part is largely devoted to telling Arjuna about the nature of ourselves as the Atman and not this body and mind. So all the functions like birth, death, etc. are all associated only with the body and mind. The Atman is permanent, it is not going to be destroyed. So you don't worry about all that, because in any way you are also the eternal Atman. They are also the eternal Atman. It's only a temporary casing or the a phase of life or phase of existence that you are having this body and mind, etc. So you don't worry about that, because in one sense you are that undying eternal Atman. So in the second is completely, trying to give him the idea of the permanent nature, so that he could sever his bondages and rise to the occasion, and then discharge his duty as a leader of the Pandava army. And then, finally, in the other final second chapter, the second portion or the last portion of the second chapter, he deals the practical side, how one can really deal with that. Not only is the understanding, such an understanding, how it would lead you to a different way of life. So that's why he says finally, Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuchati Chitsvasyam Antakalepi Brahma Nirvana Mruchati. If you get that Brahmi Sthiti, being established in Brahman, finally, you don't have to suffer. There won't be any sorrow. And then Antakale, you'll Brahma Nirvana, which is you get that Brahma Prapti at the end, because you have lived a life established in that Brahmi Sthiti. So that is the second portion is the. So, once you do with that, then with that idea is concerning. So, now we know the idea, the Gita as a yoga is always, the in the Jnana also there are two aspects that are being dealt with here. When he refers to Jnana Yoga, it's more the initial understanding or the clarity about all that, whereas the Jnana, the ultimate wisdom, is the highest. So that is the as Jnana in the initial pages, it can be subservient to yoga, the practices, but yoga is ultimately subservient to the highest Jnana or the Brahma Jnana or the knowledge of the oneness, etc., the ultimate. So, it is the wisdom arises from the experience of the ultimate reality, that is Jnana, where you ultimately realize you are the Brahman. It is not just. So, the preparations, the initial stages, the intellectual understanding, etc., they all come from the idea of Jnana Yoga. This is one interpretation. There may be various other interpretations also, because some might not even agree to this kind of a division. Probably that because see, Jnana, Yoga, etc., are used again and again in Gita in so many ways, in so many contexts. Probably if you put it like that, wherever it is talked more about Jnana Yoga, Jnana yoga means knowing about that intellectually, understanding, etc. But when you say jnana, it's the ultimate jnana or the wisdom that one gets when it's actually in that state of realization after understanding all that intellectually. When you say the smaran manan nididhyasan, when completely when it's established, that kind of meditation where you're completely immersed in that, that is called ultimately jnana. So that is why in the last chapter he takes that actually that is the ultimate this thing of a spiritual life. So so yoga is subordinate to that kind of jnana, because yoga largely is the body and mind have to be purified and made to discharge their proper functions without clogging the wheels of progress. And then in jnanam they naturally perform their duties, etc., functions without any effort. In yoga, one has to make tremendous effort to purify the body and mind, etc., and function in a particular way. So naturally, but at the jnana, at the highest level, it's something totally spontaneous and effortless. Because in jnana, there cannot be any, because of the very word effort means duality. So in the ultimate jnana, there is no duality. It's only that complete state of oneness or state of consciousness or state of being in Brahman, being one with Brahman or Brahman only. It's very difficult to put in words also. So that means there is no effort is involved. But the level of yoga, there is also it's always the effort. Therefore, so in Brahmi Sthiti, which toward the end of the second chapter, Sri Krishna talks about, spiritual life also, there are two stages, that of an aspirant and that of an adept. Aspirant is one who is trying to prepare himself for the ultimate, and adept is someone who is really established in that. So uh, the what happens, if you take it as Gita as a book, it gives insight into the wisdom of the adepts so as to help us achieve the highest goal by actual effort and practice. So it gives the examples how it is possible, who have all been there, that Janaka and others, it refers to all of them. And then it is, the we can in a sense say that the real purpose of Gita is to give us jnana, that ultimate thing, so that by reaching there, you live effortlessly in a supreme state of calmness, peace, etc., etc. So that's why he says finally, iti te jnanam akyatam. Finally, toward the end, he says. So, though even if Gita is meant to give us the idea of Brahman or Atman, make us realize, it can also be called, the gospel of jnana, because it talks of the highest goal of life. So, so that's why we should realize that the jnana yoga, where he refers largely, it is more of an understanding, getting clarity about it, knowing about the ultimate. In fact, see, even in the traditional jnana practice, also there are divisions. There is a first Shravan, you have to listen finally. Then Manan, you have to really do the manthan, churning, again and again, ruminate, go over, calmly think about it, get an internal clarity. And then Nididhyasan, where you dive deep into that, become kind of completely be in that mood, in that awareness, in that understanding. Then by constantly doing that type of practices, that type of meditations, you really go and stay in that state completely, where there is no duality, there is no sorrow, there is no suffering, there is nothing to limit you in any way whatsoever. So here also like that we can say. So and also it's necessary to understand the relationship between jnana and bhakti here. So if normally if in the case of Arjuna also, he was completely in a state of confused emotions. So naturally, lot of jnana or the knowledge part was necessary to temper his emotions, because he was going completely berserk in a overwhelming way. At the same time, mere jnana quite often leads to intellectual dryness, and people think that we have seen people simply quoting some scriptures. If you are if you can logically you can talk very clearly, you can always say that I am that Brahman. In fact, we'll deal with one more text, maybe that may be the subject for our next retreat. I'm thinking, I've not yet finalized. the nectar of Advaita. An author has written a beautiful book called Advaita Makaranda. It's the Prakarana Gantha. It's not the one of the Prasthanatrayas. It's a subsequent text. But where in a very small way, in 28 slokas or so, he's trying to prove that you are Brahman here and now. You don't have to do anything separate. In this very moment, you are Brahman. That's what it's trying to prove. It's okay. See, unless we understand all that in a very true way, and then go into intense practice, otherwise it will be only dry knowledge. And then you are intellectually sharp, you understand some of this logic, you keep on arguing, you think that you are reached. But then it will all come to light when you are put to any test. All that would know. See, if you are, that's why exactly it happened when Totapuri and Shyamksha was sitting before the Dhuni fire. One servant came to take a faggot, and Totapuri was about to beat him with his chimta. ठाकुर तो हंसने लगे, अरे तुम तो इतना आत्मन ब्रह्म की बात करते हो, वेदांति ये क्या है? What is it? What if it takes? See, that is where the test comes. If you think that you are the Atman, even if somebody cuts off your hand, it should not produce any reaction in you. You do not know, they talk of a very great saint in South. Of course, I have not read it very detailed. It's called Sadasiva Brahmendra. He was in that mood. He would go with eyes closed, and whoever anything gets in bhiksha, he will take. Otherwise, he would go without. Since probably somebody from some other religion, cut off his hands. He was just joyfully, oh, अच्छा हुआ, बहुत अच्छा हुआ, बहुत अच्छा. Big मांग रहे थे ना, अच्छा हुआ, अच्छा हुआ. That was his reaction. So, even if we should not produce it here, if you say you are not the body, you are not the mind, how can you take care of it so much? How can you tend to it so much? So, when Ramana Maharshi was to be operated, there's a huge carbuncle on his hand. Doctor said, oh, Maharshi, you have to be given anesthesia. Why? Simply he extended his hand. That is because, he was so capable of withdrawing his mind from body. Anything could be done, as if supposing, the doctor does an operation on your hand. Does he require anesthesia? You require. Supposing your own body you can treat like that, it is something totally foreign or apart from you. You can practice that kind of a withdrawal. Then it is possible. So how one should be established as to feel it. So they say even about Hari Maharaj. They had a huge carbuncle operation on his back. And they wanted to give him anesthesia. He flatly refused. You tell me when the operation is happen, I will withdraw my mind. He withdrew his mind. Normally such operation take hours. It's a huge operation. And then every day the doctor would come and say, Swami, I'm going to dress the wound. Yes, you could, because dressing is also very powerful, very painful. And one day, simply the doctor came and touched his back. Hari Maharaj shrieked in pain. What is this? Every day I come, I did the operation, I touched the wound, there's no reaction today. Oh, see, because every day he used to tell me. I used to withdraw the mind. Today he came and touched without telling. So I was, the mind was very much in the body. So, these are all extraordinary states of awareness. So, this jnana, unless, that's why, even if you see Shankaracharya, they talk of only jnana, but he's written some extraordinary bhakti compositions. It's Saundari Lahari, Shivananda Lahari, many other great stotras he has composed. They are of such devotional nature. So all great people also, jnanis, they are full of that bhakti rasa. So for jnana, bhakti is not. Simply bhakti, if it is allowed to go uncontrolled, it will be mere emotion and sentimentalism and so on. That's why, there should be a tempering of jnana, bhakti, and bhakti with jnana. That's why Ramakrishna was always, the samanmaya. Everything was in his life. Although he was so devoted, but, with the moment's notice, he could give up anything. Because of that jnana. He was having such a terrible cancer. But because of his knowledge that he was not the body, anything was possible. The doctor would come, you talk for hours without any feeling of pain. So, both jnana and bhakti are essential for spiritual aspirants, because in the initial stages, we cannot really do that differentiation. Initially, they get mixed up. So there should be a very careful administration of the requisite dose of the other. For those who are practicing the path of jnana, this bhakti or feeling or emotion is necessary. Similarly, for those who are doing the bhakti path, for them also. So that, but when once you are established, then you are different. You can handle both with equal ease. Not only that, whether you go by the path of jnana or by the path of bhakti, all reach the same goal ultimately. Ultimately, what is that? Nobody can explain, nobody can say, because it is beyond word, because it belongs to a transcendental realm, or a realm of the region which is beyond the senses. How can you talk about it? Whatever you talk is far less than the actual. That's why it is said that avang manasagocharam, va yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa. All those systems are used. But then what happens? How do you describe? If you have reached the goal ultimately through the path of jnana, you explain it in the language of jnana. If you have reached the ultimate through the path of bhakti, you use the language of bhakti to describe. So ultimately, they're all one and the same, but the language used is different depending upon the sadhaka's background, his predilection, his preferences, his preferred path, etc. etc. So, because whatever be that, ultimate cannot be two. Whichever be the path, ultimate is one and only one. That's why it is called ultimate. You cannot say there are two ultimates. It's illogical. Ultimate means only one. So there is bhakti or jnana, there is only one ultimate. Only the language that you use is different. And also, it cannot be different for different people. If there is one ultimate, whichever be the path, all go and reach the same ultimate only. But then the language, etc., can be different, and the path also can be according to one's convenience, where the way you have been groomed up, your samskaras, your previous births, your karma accumulation, karma phala, so many factors come into being. But then it's always good to combine and do a sadhana, so that we don't miss the beauty of the other aspect of sadhana that way. And then naturally, so the this way if you do, then it's possible to really understand what is the true nature of life, etc. So this was a little extra introduction was necessary, because so many important ideas are coming this chapter. So now we left last in this sloka, nahi prapashyami mamapanudyat yachokamachoshanamintriyanam avapya bhumam asapatnamriddham rajyam suranam apichadipatyam. I do not find anything that can assuage this grease. Nahi prapashyami mamapanudyat yachokam uchoshanam indriyana. This is, it is making my limbs numb. I'm so much overcome by sorrow, because I'm going to kill all of them. I just can't bear this very idea. So, neither the unchallenged leadership, avapya bhuma vasapatnam riddham, rajyam suranam api chadipatya. See, even the lordship of all the devas also cannot, assuage his grief. So, what's the point? What am I going to do after killing everybody? I'm not going to enjoy this at all. And then, Yavamuktva Rishikesham Gudakesha Parantapa Ayosya iti Govindam Uktva Tushnim Babuvacha. So, according to addressing Sri Krishna, Rishikesha, Tam Uvach Yavamuktva Rishikesha. This Sanjay is saying, Gudakesha is called Gudakesha, Parantapa is the master of senses, he is the scorcher of force, etc. He said, Nayosya iti Govinda Muktva. I will not fight and he simply sat silent. रत्वे बैठ गया, मैं युद्ध नहीं करूंगा. And then तमुवाच ऋषिः सः प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर् मध्ये विषीदन्तमितं वच. So Sanjay is saying, to him who was just sitting grief stricken between the two armies, दोनों साइड में हजार हजार सैन्य और रथी महारथी सब खड़े हुए. Imagine the scene. The one of the principal warriors sitting on his ratha, he has thrown away his gandiva extra, and it's I think wonderful for a serial or a movie or anything, I think probably. And he was sitting quiet, and then Sri Krishna saw him as if he was prahasan niva bharata. He was simply kind of with a dry smile on his face, as if ridiculing him. He started. What did he say? See, Bhagavan Uvacha. Ashocyan anvashocastvam prajnavadam cha bhashase gatasuna gatasuncha nanushocati panditaha. See, you are grieving for those who should not be grieved for. Why? You speak like a wise man. Prajnavadam cha bhashase. The truly wise never weep either for the dead or for the living. Gatasuna agatasuncha nanusochanti pandita. The truly wise weep neither for the dead nor for the living. Why is giving living also? What is life on earth? It is full of sorrow, suffering, etc. So the truly wise people, they know that life is like that. It's going to end today or tomorrow. So those who are dead, they know they are dead and gone, they are going to come back. Unless they are totally liberated, they are going to come back in another body and continue their journey toward that ultimate. Those who are yet to die, they know it's only a time. Maybe this very moment, maybe tomorrow, maybe after 10 days, maybe after 20 days. It's only a question of time. So he says, there is neither to grieve about those who are living or not about your dead. In fact, perhaps there is more occasion to grieve about those who are living, because even living in this life, if you are totally unaware of the higher dimension of life, you are as good as dead. What's the point? That's why they don't grieve for them. You are living in this body, you are totally unaware of your higher dimension, nor are you working anywhere towards that. So you're also as good as dead. I don't grieve for dead because they are going to come back. You're also good as dead, so I don't grieve for you. So the really realized souls are people of knowledge, panditas. They don't grieve for anybody at all because they know this drama of cycle of birth and death, this sansar sagar. It will keep on. This sansar chakra, it will keep on rolling. Again, the birth will go up, then it will come down, then death will go up, then it will come down. It's a continuous cycle. There is no escape unless you get that ultimate knowledge or that realization. So they don't really grieve for them. That is how life goes on. Then Natvevaham jatunasam natvam nime janadipaha nacheva na bhavishyavaha sarve vayamata param. See, nat, neither was there a time when it did not exist. Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipaha. Nor you, nor these rulers of men, all these great kings, etc. There was never a time when I did not exist, or you did not exist, or they did not exist. Because it's only a continuous journey from one body to another. It gives up one body, latches on to another body, the journey continues. So I have always existed in one body or other. In another sense, I am that immortal Atman. There is no question of birth or death for me. I am there for eternity. Only the body goes. This body goes, another body comes, that goes, another comes. But I, the ultimate Atman, the ultimate reality, the ultimate consciousness, the ultimate witness, does it ever vanish? Does it ever die? It's always there. So, in that sense, I've been there for eternity. You have been there for eternity. All these people have all been there for eternity. They are going to be so. Even if you kill them, they will come back. Even if you don't kill them, in the natural course of life, they will die, or they may meet with accident and die of heart attack or something. but they will come back. So what is the point? So, Nachevana bhavishyamaha sarve vayavat. Not shall all of us cease to be hereafter. Because even if this body goes, it's going to come back. So there is no question of death for the Atman. There is no question of death for the ultimate that reality. So what is the point? Why are you saying? Where is the question of grief? It's only a question of, they will say, Vasang se jirnani yatavihaya navani grinnati naroparani. So just like changing clothes, just as you change your own clothes, his body is changed and the Atman gets into gets a new existence through another body and so on. That is how the journey continues. So neither were they absent any time, nor will be absent at any time in future. It will go on continuously. So foolishly don't try to show emotions saying that, oh, how can I kill, what will happen, this and that. There are absolutely useless ideas. You see, actually, see, these are all, very, it's, we have to really place ourselves in Arjuna's place and think how we react when somebody dies, when something happens. See, not that we have to rejoice or celebrate and anything like that, distribute sweets. But when anything in the normal course, things happen. And sometimes people die young also, maybe middle age, in youth, as a child, whatever it is. If you believe that, if you understand the immortal nature of existence, there won't be any ultimate grief at all. So it's only our own wrong understanding. See, supposing somebody is lying in bed for maybe years, but still we think, oh, what will happen if he goes? No, no, no. Mere pita hai, mera. Everything is okay. But how much that person is suffering? Will it not be better if he gives us his body, gets a new body, and comes back with vigor and starts a new journey? In that practical sense, also, it's better not to grieve like that. So, in any sense, when anything happens, when anybody dies, it's completely a wrong idea to think that everything is gone, it's all destroyed, nothing. See, this temporary relationship which we formed through some association, what is the value of this relationship? Now, at least, of course, we know people are, know each other, they are in relationship and this and that for years and all that. What used to happen in the olden times? People have never met. Suddenly, some 25-year-old boy marrying some 23-year-old girl, not seen each other, not talk to each other, and then suddenly they become very dear, very inseparable, and they have this Agni Sakshi, they take oaths and this and that, and then family, and then grieving, all that and all, just like so actually, so without substance, so unreal if you think of it. What is all, if you really look back, what is the relationship which we formed? Is there any substance? It is all assumed. It's all only foisted upon. There's nothing like that. Somebody, some 5,000 miles away, someone was there, they were brought together and then they died and this and that. Not, what is the idea? So, it is something, it's a journey, it's a drama, it's something going on. Understand like that, and life will become totally different. See, does it mean that we will not discharge our duties from tomorrow? No, no, we don't know each other. I'm not going to cook. Or no, it's not like that. You may do everything. But then, if you understand the utter hollowness of these relationships which we foster and which we pamper and which we try to give so much importance to, more sanity will come in our life. We will think that no, okay, it can happen this way, it can happen this way. So this misunderstanding, oh, I did so much for you, this is how you did, nothing like that. So, all these things which everything is not only householders, even, oh, I can't leave this ashrama, oh, I built this, oh, this all I did, oh, you did, there was an occasion you did. What is so big about someone else would have done it? What is there to take so much credit? So, all our associations, all because of this wrong idea, although we may here and there read about Atman and this and that, we don't really think deeply, we don't do that manana, we don't get it deep into our personality. So that, see, all that we acquire, all that we read, wherever we hear, that should come handy in times of need. That should help us lead a healthy, meaningful life, is it not? Otherwise, your knowledge, your scriptural study will be somewhere, your life will be totally disconnected, you'll be leading a totally miserable life. So it's very important to connect all that and make them, be a part of our life. See, what is the idea of knowing all that? What's the idea of scriptural knowledge? What's the idea of leading a spiritual life? How to face life? How to live this life meaningfully with peace and happiness and contentment and all that. All that guidance would come from scriptures. So when you know, then you know, yes, this is what it is. Then yes, all right. Whatever is to be done, we'll do. You have to be sober, you have to be calm, and anything comes, that's okay. But then no, we will not lose yourself and become totally disconsolate, cannot be consoled at all. For years, whenever it is, oh, here it is, oh, this is a flower vase, this is the thing you use, this is the cloth, this is the shoe, this is the thing. No need at all. Life goes on. And life goes on also. However much we grieve for somebody, does our life come to a stop? We behave as if we are going to die this very moment. Oh, that person is gone, I cannot live. And you live 50 years after that. Only in the meanwhile, you have wasted so much of tears, so much of other your faculties, and your health has broken down, and this is broken down. Not needed at all. Whatever is to be done is to be done, and then you go on because life. I also have to go one day. If you realize that I can go this very moment, where is the time for you to grieve? It's time for you to find out who you are so that you are ready to go anytime. The preparedness, that's the ultimate preparedness, the preparedness to face death squarely in its face. Yes, this moment I'm ready to die. This moment I'm ready to give up all that is so dear and near to me, all that I possess, all that are so valued and treasured. This very moment I can give up and all that. That is real growth. That is spiritual awareness. That is the result of sadhana. That is the use of all this knowing, this knowledge, etc. etc. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. So incidentally, this Wednesday we have a visiting Swami. He is from Florida. Swami Ishtananji is the minister in charge. So we will not have our evening Kathamrita class, but rather after Arati, Maharaj will give a spiritual discourse in the temple itself. All are welcome.